time for what I've done today. I didn't get any of my game done. In fact, I woke up kind of early, but ended up going out for another one of those long walks. This time, about 7 hours, I think. I looked at where I went, and kind of somewhere between 20 and 25 miles, depending on, because I took a kind of, Springfield is fucked up, the town next to me. There's lots of roads that the roads are laid out by the letters and by numbers. And you'd kind of think a grid like that would be really easy to navigate, but it's not, because they make roads disappear here, there, and everywhere. And on my way home, I decided I didn't want to walk along Main Street because it was really too hectic and too busy and too noisy, and I was just not putting up with it. I walked the whole way out. Well, so the goal of this was to get wood. And I found myself a lumber store that was not too far. I don't know how far I am from. It's about a 45-minute walk, I guess, to Springfield itself. And yes, my face is very red. If you, I didn't wear a hat, and it was sunny as hell. And I figured out, hey, if places will cut wood, and this is what I, sort of discovered, this should be easy. I just go in with my dimensions and I ask for boards that I can have. And I found a place that was not far away that had retail lumber. So I went to it. First of all, they weren't really a lumber yard or anything. They're more like a hardware store that you can order lumber from, but they claim to be a lumber place. They call themselves Par's Lumber. I figured they would focus on lumber. No, they focused more on power tools than anything else, I would say. But yeah, I mean, they didn't have anything in the back or anything, any kind of lumber yard there. And when I talked to the guy, well, the dimensions I gave him didn't work for him. They don't have treated wood in those dimensions, and it kind of makes sense to me. But basically, he wanted to sell me 2x4s, and I'm like, that's twice the height of what I need. The things that I have are about an inch thick, and it's also smaller, but that I could kind of work around. Like the 4 inches, I needed 5.5 inches. And so I decided no. But I had a backup plan. I had a couple of backup plans, actually. But my backup plan was to go to kind of a big box that's, I think, locally owned and whatnot, or relatively local. And we have the other ones too, but this one was kind of close. But what I didn't do, I wrote down its address, kind of got a picture of where it was, thought I had gone out Main Street, because I had gone on a drive, when my friend was here, he drove me to a Walmart that's right around there. So I just walked out Main Street. Well, Main Street didn't go in the direction I thought it did. It was east instead of north. I thought it went north the whole way. It feels like it's perpendicular to the river here, which means it's heading north. Well, I get confused very easily, and I was definitely heading east when I look at the map, which put me way outside of where I was. I almost made it to the other river, the Mackenzie River, and But anyway, there's another lumber store on the way, and a Goodwill, and a St. Vincent's, although they call it St. Vinny's now. All very useful things. Well, I said to myself as I passed the Goodwill, it was across the street. I'm like, I can hit that on the way back if I want to. I'm here for lumber. Okay. So I keep walking, hike. Then I pass the St. Vinny's. It's on my side of the street. I have the same kind of feeling. I've got my backpack on. No real weight in it. I end up taking my shirt off. The t-shirt got so sweaty I decided to throw it in the laundry finally. I mean, I wear my stuff for a long time before it gets at all soiled as far as I'm concerned, which you will have noticed if you watch my vids. But anyway, I end up, passing that by with a, well, I can stay on this side of the street and then cross later. It's a big street, but there are some places where you can cross. It's almost like a highway out there. I think it is actually called a highway, but anyway, that wasn't apparent to me at that point. I'm just march. Past a Dairy Queen on the other side of the street, and I'm like, wow, I haven't eaten today. Kind of hungry. Nope, gonna get my wood first. March. On the other side of the street, there was another lumber yard, another little one. This one looked a lot more promising. It actually had lumber, there. But I thought, no. At this point, there were two things that were on my mind. One was I really wanted to get to the superstore because I thought it would have a much, much better chance of having this, what I'm looking for, basically, which they might even have like prefab steps or something like that. I saw them advertised and whatnot. So I just keep going. Now I'm, feeling pretty bad about this point. Chafing, beginning to be seriously noticed. That's something that I've had as a whole problem. My feet were beginning to hurt because I've got these stupid fucking Nikes that are like, I don't know what I had. They were like called Rockports or something like that were like wearing bricks on your feet. And these are very much like that. They're great in that I can put the insoles in them and they do whatever those were supposed to do, which is mainly hurt my feet. And I don't think they do any good for my ankle, to tell you the truth. But anyway, so clomp. I'm also getting signs for the Mackenzie River. I'm like, let's keep going. If I'm on this side of the street, let me make sure that I don't have the lumber, not lumber, but the big box home, improvement center near me. And I couldn't believe it was as far as it was. Yeah, it's not. But not by a long shot. And I ended up not making it to the river. Turns out the river was a lot further. There were signs for the river, but the river itself was a lot further than it looked. Basically, had I been going north instead of east, yeah, I would have hit the river long ago. But heading east, not so much. The river was that way, but it was a long way away. And so I hit Thurston or something. And it was outside of Springfield, I think. I didn't realize that. I knew that I was seeing signs for Thurston, but nothing like welcome to Thurston or anything like that. Nor any you're leaving Springfield, come back soon, which Eugene has those kind of signs on the main roads. I hate Springfield. Not just the roads. It's just it's a horrible place in so many ways. So much industry, and there are areas that are nice and everything, I'm sure. I walked through some of them, but they're It's kind of run down. Just not a pleasant town. There doesn't look like there's anything to do there for the most part. Like, yeah, right in the old historic downtown there kind of is, and the rest of it is either like strip malls and big boxes, or, um, you know, just like, kind of small suburban houses that are not in good shape and everything. And just there's just not a lot there. It looks like a lot of other towns. It's nothing. It's just like, there's a reason I'm in Eugene and not like in a lot of other towns in this country. And I didn't like Phoenix either, so, although Phoenix had places where there were things to do, but that's because it's so fucking huge and spread out and everything. But it's like the vast majority of Phoenix was really not pleasant to walk through, nor was there anything to do. Like, I want one or the other, and this is kind of the problem. Sure, there were okay neighborhoods that I could walk through. I saw some kids selling lemonade. That was kind of cool. But for the most part, yeah, it's just kind of a depressing town. Although I didn't get too depressed, I think I was in too much pain. Anyway, once I got to a point where I'm like, I am never going to see the river. Yeah, I think it's around the next butt. It wasn't. It was much further than that, I think. I eventually turned around, but I had walked an extra, 3 miles or so in a wrong direction at least. And then I hiked back the way I came on the other side of the road, though, this time, which made things better. And on the way, I found a collapsed house. And it must have been like a log cabin, it wasn't a house, it must have been a shed or something. It had like a log cabin finish on the outside or something. And I found like a piece of that, of the outside finish, that I threw on my backpack, because it looked like it was about the right size, and it kind of is if it wasn't broken. There were planks that would have been perfect, probably untreated, but I don't know. But I had no way to cut them down, and they were like, not the 4 feet I needed, but rather like, 8-10 feet, I don't know, just big things that I thought about trying to break one. Like, yeah, if I can break it, it's not going to work well for something that I step on all the time, is it? So anyway, I took this thing and threw it in my backpack, and it's like, it's broken, so it's got like this big spike sticking out of wood. And now I've got, I don't know, it's heavier than probably a single piece of wood that size would be, because it's got, again, it's rounded on the bottom and got bark and everything. And I don't want to be on Main Street anymore, so I take a turn and head down another street. Well, one of the streets I end up heading down apparently travels in a big loop, which got me very close to the place I was trying to get to, actually, or at least relatively close, much, much closer than any other time in my walk, but then swerved me back to Main Street. And I ran out of water a couple of times on the trip. On the way back. Well, I had tea on the way there. So I stopped at a church and used their hose and stole some water from them. And then on my way up my hill, I was thinking about like diverting to go to a park that I know has some water, but it would have been kind of significantly out of my way. And I found another house that had like a faucet sticking out of it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do this. Just kind of breaking into people's yards. I almost did one where I really, if there had been nobody around, I would have, but it was kind of like I'm in the park and there's a house that abuts the park or kind of is inserted into it somehow. And I would have to climb over a fence and get to them. I knew nobody was home there, but I'm like, if I'm like trespassing on their grounds and people see me, that's worse. That's bad. But I really had thoughts that I would not be able to get water on the way back. Oh, another interesting thing on my way up the railway tracks. There was a good thing about this all. On the way up the railway tracks, which is my shortcut to get up my hill, I crossed the tracks, ran into someone who, looked like one of these meth addict, homeless people types, who's complaining about some kid playing on the tracks and that like people get disappeared from there and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I kind of shrug. She's like, not your problem, and just is going off on me about it. And I just walk by her, fine, whatever. And I get up there, and the kid had to be at least 17, bigger than me, way bigger than her. It's like nobody's gonna mess with this guy in the middle of the daytime, And he's trying to fix his bike. Like he had been riding his bike and riding it on the gravel isn't such a great idea. I think he'd done some damage and was just trying to repair it or something. Probably was there for the excitement of the bumpy way and everything. Anyway, what's the good news? Well, the good news, the piece of wood that I got, there's a couple of good news pieces. The piece of wood that I got, and there's horrible news too, but was useless, I think. And I was pretty sure it was going to be useless as I was walking, but I neglected going to the lumber store or to the Goodwill or St. Minnie's because I was too fucking tired. Now, I did go to Dairy Queen and got myself a milkshake and tried. I do this. This is not the first time I've done this. I tried to order a Blizzard because I'm used to like the Wendy's Frosty. I would order a milkshake and they're like, we don't have a milkshake. The closest thing we have is a Frosty. And it's really not a milkshake there. But anyway, I almost got entirely something that I would not have liked. Now me with the wood on my back attracted interesting attention from a couple of people. Sometimes just sort of a smile or whatever. I don't know why. There's something definitely odd about it. And then I'm there with my pipe too, and my face absolutely beet red from the sun. I'm not used to going out in the summer without a hat for that kind of walk. But I haven't been doing those kind of walks for a while, so I didn't think about it. And then some woman drove by kind of slowly, obviously was looking at me, parked across the street from me, then turned around and waved as she went back the other way near the park. And I'm just like, what? Is this somebody I know? You could have offered me a ride if I do, because it looked kind of like someone familiar, maybe from dancing or something, but maybe from something else. I don't know. I don't know where else I would know someone from at all. But it was, but then maybe, I thought maybe she thought I had a gun on my back or something, but it's legal to carry, so that wouldn't be a big deal either. Although not many people do that, except to cluster around Black Lives Matter marches or whatever to make sure that maybe they can make them not matter. Or I honestly don't know if they were protecting the march or kind of protesting the march. I suspect the latter now, but at the time it felt like they were protecting it. But anyway. The cool thing was, I stopped at a Buy Mart just on kind of a whim. I mean, I felt like luck was with me in a number of ways. I stopped at a Buy Mart on a whim. And yes, they had my lighter fluid. It was about as expensive as it is at at the smoke shop, so it didn't really do me any good. I could go on a much, much shorter walk and get it. But there are buy marts closer to me, so it's possible, but this was a really big one. I was shocked that Walmart didn't have it because they sell it online and it gets delivered to me and somebody drives to one of the stores. And the supercenter is the one that didn't have it, but they delivered only 2 to me the time that they delivered most recently, and I ordered like 6, which means maybe they took the last 2 and now they just don't carry it. Oh, I passed a Walgreens, that might have had it too. I mean, it's such a weird thing, but I know that like there's significant anti-smoking feeling. But like I said, I feel like I had a lot of situations where kind of luck kind of went with me in some sort of way. Like finding places where I could steal water from and stuff like that. But one place it definitely didn't is my fucking crotch. I chafed so badly, it's like raw meat down there now. And I got in a bath and unfortunately made it a hot bath soon after I got home. Took a dump, take a bath afterwards. That's what I do. And oh, it hurt so bad. And yeah, and now it's like the meat down there is like sweaty. And like it's not sweat though. It's like I don't know. It's just it's rubbed raw so much that it's wet, and it's really nasty. I'm hoping or assuming that I'm going to be able to go dancing. Got some bad news about my dad. I guess he's in worse shape again. I don't know what's up with that, and I feel like there's just nothing, within my limitations, there's nothing I can do. Within a normal person's limitations, they could do that. But I did think of something in terms of the wood. If I was willing to use this bark-covered log cabin frontage type thing, I have tons of fucking wood in my yard. If I'm going to use untreated wood, I think I can do something with the chainsaw and just cut it. I'll have to get nails, of course. That was something I was planning on buying if I got wood. But without the wood, it didn't make a lot of sense for me to buy a pile of nails until I had that other wood on my back, and I'm just like, I don't want to stop anywhere. I just want to get home. It hurts so much. And now that's something, like, I knew I was damaging myself, but it didn't hurt so much. Like, I didn't take the bus home, which I could have done. But again, mentally, I can't. I just couldn't, because I don't know how much the bus costs. I don't know how to do transfers here. Like, I think you have to get a day pass, and I don't think I can get one just on the bus. I tried to do something like that once, and it didn't work. And I'm just like, yeah, I can't cope with it. Like, I could look it all up and figure it out, but I never plan on taking the bus. It's always on my way back. Anyway, I have a plan. I have another possible plan, which is that there's a sort of a scrapyard place for building supplies that's not too far from me. But I can't go anywhere tomorrow. Like, I know my legs are going to take at least until Friday to heal. And that sucks. It's okay because it's going to be rainy the next couple days. Anyway. That's why there's no game videos going up recently. Yeah. Another big ass walk in this one. I came home and I'm walking like an old man. And I feel, I had like the shakes from the dehydration and the sun and everything. I felt very much like I do the day after dancing. Like I went to sleep soon after I got home. Played a little bit of rain first, but anyway, cheers.